Deep in the heart of a forgotten village on the very edge of a vast, untamed forest, stood an old, crumbling cottage. Time had worn its walls thin, and ivy wrapped around its wooden bones like nature reclaiming its own. Here, in the silence of the towering pines, lived a woman known to the villagers as Elira. Elira was a mystery to most. She spoke little, asked for even less, and lived off the land with the wisdom of one who had seen many winters. But what truly set her apart wasn't her solitude, it was the creature that walked beside her. A beast so massive and so otherworldly that whispers of its existence spread through the village like wildfire. It was a wolf, but not just any wolf. This was Veyron, a silver-furred titan with eyes like molten gold. His presence was both mesmerizing and terrifying. He moved like a shadow, his every step silent yet deliberate. And though he never showed aggression, an air of danger clung to him, as if he carried the weight of something ancient, something untamed. But none of them knew the truth. None of them knew what bound the old woman and the wolf together, nor the secret that would shake their village to its very core once Elira took her final breath. It had been a brutal winter the year Elira found him, or perhaps he found her. The snow was thick that night, swallowing sound and light alike. A storm howled through the forest, rattling her fragile windows and making the world beyond a white blur. Elira had gone to gather firewood when she heard it, a cry weak and lost, a sound so filled with desperation that it cut through the wind like a blade. She followed it, heart pounding, feet sinking into the icy abyss beneath her. Then, beneath the hollow of a fallen tree, she saw it. A pup, barely breathing, half buried in snow. Its silver fur was matted with ice, its tiny ribs visible beneath its trembling frame. A wolf. Common sense told her to leave it. Wolves were not creatures to be tamed, and certainly not by an old woman alone in the woods. But then its eyes opened. Two molten pools of gold locking onto hers. There was no fear in them, only trust. Only silent, desperate pleading. Elira made her decision without a second thought. Scooping the tiny creature into her arms, she shielded it from the wind and carried it home. She named him Veyron, after a legend she had long forgotten, and nursed him back to health with careful hands. She fed him warmed goat's milk, wrapped him in wool, and spoke to him in hushed tones as he trembled in his sleep. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. The pup grew, faster than she could have imagined. Soon, he was larger than any dog she had ever seen, his frame lean but powerful. His silver fur gleamed under the moonlight, and his eyes burned with an intelligence far beyond any beast she had encountered. But more than that, he never left her side. When she fetched water, he walked beside her. When she sat by the fire, he lay at her feet. When she ventured into the village, he followed, his towering form casting long shadows across the cobbled streets. The villagers were uneasy. They whispered as she passed, clutching their children. Close. They called her reckless, cursed her foolishness. A wolf will always be a wolf, they warned. One day it will remember what it truly is. But Elira only smiled. She knew what they did not. She knew that love, true, unwavering love, was stronger than fear, stronger than instinct, stronger than anything the world could throw at them. Years passed. Elira grew older, her once steady hands beginning to tremble, her steps slower than before. But still, Veyron remained, her protector, her shadow. Until the day everything changed. The morning was colder than usual, the air sharp, the frost clinging to the trees in delicate patterns. The village woke to an eerie silence, an absence that prickled at the skin. And then they saw him. Veyron, sitting at the edge of the village, his great head bowed low, his golden eyes hollow with loss. Elira was gone. The villagers found her in her bed, peaceful, as if she had simply drifted away like a leaf on the wind. But what happened next? What happened next was something none of them could have ever predicted. The morning after Elira's quiet passing, the village awoke to an unsettling silence that seemed to echo the loss of a kind soul. The frosty light of dawn revealed Veyron, the giant silver wolf in a state of quiet vigil at the edge of the village. His golden eyes, once alight with a gentle loyalty, now shimmered with an ineffable sorrow and a burgeoning, mysterious determination. The mighty creature, whose very presence had long been a paradox of wild ferocity and tender protection, now seemed to be at the precipice of a profound transformation. In the days that followed, the villagers, their hearts heavy with grief and trepidation, whispered among themselves. They recalled the countless times they had seen Veyron shadowing Elira on her modest trips to the market, guarding her with a vigilance that defied his wild nature. Yet now that Elira was gone, the wolf's silence spoke volumes. Every step he took was laden with the weight of loss and an urgent purpose that no mortal could quite decipher. It was as if Veyron carried within him not only the memories of his beloved caretaker, but also a secret promise, a promise forged in the depths of an ancient, untamed bond between man and beast. This bond, inexplicable and profound, seemed to awaken something deep within him. His once calm demeanor now gave way to an intense, almost otherworldly restlessness as he roamed the outskirts of the village and ventured into the surrounding wilds. Over the course of many bleak days and frosted nights, the giant wolf embarked on a solitary journey into the heart of the ancient forest. His massive paws left prints in the soft, snowy ground, each step an echo of a past steeped in gentle care and now tinged with a dark resolve. The forest, with its towering pines and whispering winds, seemed to welcome him like a long-lost son, returning home. The very air pulsed with secrets and the faint murmurs of forgotten lore. As Veyron traversed winding trails and crossed frozen streams, memories of Elira's soft, caring hands and her warm, inviting cottage flashed through his mind like distant dreams. In those memories lay the essence of a love so pure that it defied the natural order. A love that had nurtured a wild creature into a being capable of loyalty beyond measure. But with that love came a void, an emptiness that the wolf now sought to fill with a purpose that reached far beyond the simple rhythms of nature. Under the ghostly luminescence of a full winter moon, Veyron found himself at the threshold of a forgotten glen, a place where the remnants of ancient stone altars and weathered totems whispered of a time when man and nature spoke in a single, harmonious tongue. It was here, amidst the silent testimony of ages past, that the wolf paused. His ears twitched, picking up the soft cadence of a distant, almost imperceptible chant. The sound was neither human nor animal. It was as if the forest itself was singing, a mournful hymn to the passage of time. Driven by an instinct as old as the earth, Veyron followed the ethereal melody. With each measured step, the spectral notes grew louder, entwining with the rustle of leaves and the sigh of the wind. Deep within the glen, the silver-furred guardian discovered a circle of ancient stones, each carved with symbols that pulsed with a faint, mystical glow. In the center of the circle lay an old, moss-covered basin, its surface reflecting the moonlight in a silvery shimmer. As Veyron approached, a strange warmth began to emanate from the basin, a warmth that contrasted starkly with the biting cold of the winter night. The wolf lowered his mighty head, and with a mixture of reverence and yearning, stepped forward. In that pivotal moment, the bond he shared with Elira seemed to converge with the primeval energy of the land. The ancient runes on the stones flickered to life, casting an otherworldly light upon his sleek fur. In that silent communion, Veyron felt the first stirrings of a transformation, a metamorphosis that would challenge the very boundaries between the wild and the civilized, between nature's fury and its tender heart. In the days that followed, the forest became Veyron's sanctuary and his crucible. He ventured deeper into realms where the natural world held dominion, encountering creatures of both beauty and peril. The wolf's journey was punctuated by moments of raw, visceral intensity, a confrontation with a pride of elusive lynxes beneath a canopy of whispering branches, a silent communion with an ancient stag whose antlers bore the marks of countless seasons, and even a brief, enigmatic encounter with a spectral doe whose eyes held the sorrow of ages. Throughout these encounters, Veyron's inner landscape shifted subtly. Grief mingled with resolve, and his sorrow slowly transmuted into a fierce determination to honor the memory of the one who had given him not only life, but also a sense of belonging. It was as if every heartbeat, every breath drawn in the frigid air was a silent vow. A vow to preserve the legacy of a love that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. In his wanderings, the Silver Wolf came upon remnants of forgotten lore, dilapidated shrines, scattered relics of an era when magic and nature danced in tandem. Each relic, every faded carving on weathered stone, seemed to whisper secrets of an ancient covenant between humankind and the creatures of the wild. Veyron began to piece together a tapestry of memories and myths, discovering that his existence was interwoven with an enduring legend, a legend that spoke of a guardian, a creature born of both wild instinct and tender nurturance, destined to bridge the chasm between the untamed wilderness and the fragile realm of mortal men. One evening, as the amber hues of dusk melted into the inky blues of night, Veyron paused before a clearing encircled by towering firs. Here, the remnants of an old altar lay half-buried under layers of snow and time. The structure, though battered by the relentless march of seasons, exuded a quiet dignity. In its silent presence, the wolf sensed a call, a summons from a power that lay beyond the comprehension of mere mortals. With a deliberate, measured stride, Veyron stepped into the clearing. The silence was palpable, a living entity that enveloped him in its serene embrace. As he circled the altar, the ancient symbols, etched into its stone surface, began to glow faintly, as though awakened by his presence. In that luminous moment, the guardian felt a rush of energy surging through his being, a potent blend of grief, memory, and a raw, unbridled force that defied explanation. The night deepened, and the stars wheeled overhead in silent vigil. Veyron, driven by forces both seen and unseen, knelt before the altar. The wind, as if in response to his silent plea, stirred the cold air and carried with it murmurs of a long-forgotten incantation. In that transcendent silence, the wolf's mind became a canvas upon which the essence of the forest was painted in strokes of luminous memory and ephemeral light. A vision unfurled before him, a cascade of images woven together like threads in an ancient tapestry. He saw a time when the land was young, when magic was as common as the whispering wind, and every creature, be it man or beast, shared an unspoken bond of mutual respect and understanding. In that vision, a noble guardian, much like himself, roamed the wild expanses, a beacon of hope and a bulwark against the encroaching darkness that threatened to shatter the delicate balance of life. And then, as suddenly as it had come, the vision faded, leaving behind only the echo of a promise that Veyron, in his transformed state, would become more than just a silent sentinel of grief. He was destined to be a harbinger of change, a living testament to the enduring power of love and the unyielding spirit of the wild. In the weeks that followed, the Silver Guardian embarked on a journey that would take him far beyond the familiar boundaries of the forest. With every step into the unknown, he carried with him the legacy of Elira, a legacy etched in every fiber of his being, a constant reminder of the delicate interplay between vulnerability and strength. The landscape began to change as Veyron ventured into territories where the land itself seemed to be in flux. Vast, rolling meadows replaced the dense, shadowed groves of the pines, and mighty rivers, shimmering under the caress of sunlight, carved new paths through the earth. Yet even in these realms of stark beauty, the wolf could not escape the pervasive sense of melancholy that clung to him like a second skin. One fateful day, as he trod along a winding riverbank, Veyron encountered signs of human endeavor, a modest encampment of wanderers who had pitched their tents on the edge of civilization. The villagers here were not the timid souls of his old village. They were rugged, resilient individuals whose eyes held the glint of determination and the scars of hard-won survival. Their lives, intertwined with the land, resonated with a raw authenticity that stirred something deep within the Silver Wolf. As he observed from a distance, Veyron recalled the tender moments of his past. the gentle hum of Elira's lullabies, the soft murmur of her voice as she recounted tales of old, and the warmth of her touch that had nurtured him in his most fragile days. In that bittersweet recollection, he felt a burgeoning resolve. It was time to step beyond the role of a mere mourner and embrace the destiny that had been etched in the annals of time. Under a sky brushed with the hues of twilight, the wolf approached the camp. His arrival was marked by a hushed awe. The wanderers, though startled at first by his imposing figure, soon recognized in his eyes the unmistakable gleam of a guardian, a tauboy creature whose silence spoke of loss, yet whose presence radiated an almost mystical assurance. In a moment of profound connection, as if bridging the gulf between wild nature and human heart, Veyron lay down at the very center of their gathering, his massive head raised as if in silent benediction. The leader of the encampment, a weathered soul named Renard, stepped forward. In that silent exchange, words were unnecessary. The gaze they shared transcended the spoken language, conveying a deep understanding of shared solitude and the timeless dance of life and death. Renard, with a measured nod, acknowledged the wolf's unspoken plea, a plea to be part of something greater, a quest to honor the memory of a lost guardian by protecting the fragile balance of nature. For days, the encampment and the Silver Guardian coexisted in a delicate symbiosis. Under the watchful eyes of Veyron, the wanderers learned to read the subtle signs of nature, the sudden hush of the wind before a storm, the secret language of rustling leaves, and the silent signals carried by the flight of birds. In return, the people offered the wolf their quiet reverence, their trust, and, most importantly, the shared hope that together they could forge a path toward renewal in a world that had grown increasingly fragmented and forlorn. As autumn's chill gave way to the stark barrenness of winter, the land itself seemed to mourn the passing of time. The days grew shorter, and a pervasive stillness blanketed the world. Yet in the midst of this quiet desolation, Veyron's journey had only just begun. With the encampment as a temporary haven, he ventured forth once more, this time guided by a series of cryptic symbols etched into ancient stone scattered across the rugged landscape. Each symbol was a fragment of a larger narrative, a tale of creation and loss, of love and rebirth. The wolf's keen senses discerned that these were not random markings, but deliberate signposts left by an age when the natural world and the realm of the spirit were one and the same. With each new discovery, a piece of the ancient puzzle fell into place, revealing hints of a sacred covenant, a covenant that bound the fate of the wild to the destiny of humankind. In the icy embrace of a desolate valley, Veyron encountered a ruined temple, its once magnificent arches now reduced to crumbling stone and tangled ivy. The temple, though silent and forsaken, pulsed with an otherworldly energy that resonated with the wolf's inner spirit. It was here that he found the first true sign, an inscription carved into the temple's broken facade, telling the tale of a guardian chosen by the very essence of nature, a protector destined to rise in times of great need. The inscription spoke of an era when the balance between light and darkness was maintained by a creature whose heart beat in harmony with the rhythms of the earth. It foretold that when the guardian's beloved was taken by the inexorable march of time, the wolf would be reborn, not as a mere beast, but as an emissary of nature's indomitable will. In that hallowed script, Veyron recognized his destiny. His grief had given way to an inner fire, a resolve to become the living embodiment of nature's promise, a promise that the cycle of life, death, and rebirth was eternal, and that love could transcend even the harshest boundaries. As winter deepened, the Silver Guardian continued his pilgrimage across vast, frost-laden plains and through dense groves where ancient trees stood as silent sentinels. With every step, his presence stirred whispers among the natural world, a subtle reminder that even in loss, there could be renewal, and that the wild spirit of the land would forever endure. In the midst of a snowstorm that raged with a fury, reminiscent of the ancient tempests of old, Veyron found refuge in a secluded cavern hidden beneath the roots of a colossal oak. Within the cool, dim interior of the cave, the wolf's mind drifted between dreams and waking thoughts. In those moments, the memories of Elira merged with the raw energy of the earth, weaving visions of a past where time itself seemed to bend. In reverence to the unyielding spirit of life, it was in this liminal space, where the boundary between memory and prophecy blurred, that Veyron began to hear a voice. A soft, almost imperceptible murmur that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the cavern. The voice, though gentle, carried the weight of ancient wisdom, urging him to seek out the forgotten heart of the land. It spoke of a sacred glade where the veil between the mortal realm and the spirit world was at its thinnest, a place where the echoes of lost promises still lingered like delicate notes in a timeless symphony. Driven by this ethereal call, the Guardian emerged from his cavern refuge as the storm subsided. The landscape, though battered by the tempest, revealed hidden wonders, a crystalline stream winding its way through frost-laden ferns, the delicate shimmer of icicles catching the faint light of a timid sun, and the subtle, ever-present hum of nature's enduring heartbeat. Under a sky streaked with the soft blush of dawn, Veyron followed the murmuring call deeper into the wilderness. His journey led him to a secluded glade, encircled by ancient willows, whose drooping branches whispered secrets to the wind. In the center of the glade stood a majestic, time-worn stone dais, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to dance in the interplay of light and shadow. As the Silver Guardian approached the dais, the air around him began to vibrate with a palpable energy. The symbols on the stone pulsed rhythmically, as if echoing the heartbeat of the earth itself. In that charged atmosphere, Veyron felt a stirring within, a recognition of the momentous convergence of fate that had been foretold by the ancients. Drawing closer, he laid his powerful head upon the cool stone, and in that act of profound submission, the Guardian became one with the ancient energy. The glade, bathed in the soft luminescence of a rising sun, seemed to hold its breath. For a fleeting, eternal moment, time itself slowed, allowing the raw, unspoken truths of the universe to seep into the very core of his being. In that mystical communion, visions cascaded through Veyron's mind. He saw the spectral forms of those who had come before, a lineage of guardians who had, throughout the ages, safeguarded the delicate equilibrium between the wild and the civilized. Their voices, carried on the wind, spoke of love, loss, and the inexorable passage of time. They revealed to him that his journey was but one chapter in a vast, unfolding epic, a narrative woven from the threads of destiny and the unyielding spirit of nature. The weight of this revelation did not crush him. Instead, it emboldened him. The Guardian rose, his eyes now burning with a fierce, unquenchable light. He understood that his path was not solely one of mourning, but of transformation, a path that would lead him to become the bridge between worlds, the living embodiment of a covenant that transcended the ephemeral nature of mortal life. Armed with the ancient wisdom of the glade, Veyron set forth on a new chapter of his journey. The landscape before him was vast and varied, a tapestry of rugged mountains, dense mist-shrouded forests, and sprawling meadows where nature's bounty lay in quiet abundance. Every terrain he traversed whispered of ancient rites and long-forgotten legends, inviting him to discover the hidden truths that lay buried beneath layers of time. As he journeyed onward, the Silver Guardian encountered a myriad of beings whose lives had been touched by the wild spirit of the land. In a sunlit valley, he met a solitary falcon with wings as wide as the horizon. The falcon circled above him, its piercing cry echoing, the call of freedom, as if heralding the arrival of a new era. In another realm, amidst the rugged crags of a towering mountain, he crossed paths with a hermit whose eyes shimmered with the reflective calm of one who had witnessed the secrets of the universe. Though their interaction was silent, the exchange carried the weight of countless unspoken understandings, each acknowledging the sacred duty to protect the fragile tapestry of life. In every encounter, the Guardian absorbed lessons of resilience, hope, and the eternal cycle of regeneration. The memories of Elira, tender and luminous, remained his guiding star, a beacon that illuminated his path even in the darkest of nights. Her gentle presence, woven into the fabric of his very soul, had sown the seeds of a transformation that now blossomed with the promise of renewal and rebirth. The Silver Wolf's journey was not without trials. There were moments when the burden of his destiny seemed almost too heavy to bear, a time when the shadows of doubt and the icy tendrils of solitude threatened to encase his heart in eternal frost. Yet in those moments, the voice of the ancients and the memory of his beloved caretaker merged into a single, clarion call, a call to rise above despair and to embrace the boundless potential of the wild spirit within. In one such trial, during a particularly fierce blizzard that swept across a barren plateau, Veyron found himself isolated and vulnerable. The howling winds and swirling snow reduced the world to a monochrome blur, and for a time the Silver Guardian faltered. But as he pressed on through the tempest, guided by an inner resolve and the distant, comforting echo of Elira's lullabies, he discovered a hidden strength within, a strength that transcended the physical realm and resonated with the timeless pulse of nature. It was in that crucible of ice and wind that Veyron's metamorphosis became complete. The grief that had once threatened to consume him transformed into an indomitable force, a force that propelled him forward, even as the storm raged with relentless fury. The elements themselves seemed to bend in deference to his newfound will, clearing a path through the blizzard as if acknowledging the emergence of a true guardian of the wild. As the storm subsided and the first tentative rays of spring sunlight began to pierce the lingering chill of winter, the landscape around Veyron transformed into a canvas of rebirth. The barren plateau bloomed with tender shoots and vibrant wildflowers, a living testament to the resilience of nature. In this awakening, the Silver Guardian felt a stirring of hope, a promise that life, in all its fragility and splendor, would always find a way to flourish. In the gentle embrace of spring, Veyron reached a verdant valley crisscrossed by meandering streams and dotted with ancient groves. Here the air was alive with the hum of rejuvenation, and every rustling leaf and babbling brook seemed to sing a hymn of new beginnings. It was in this tranquil haven that the wolf encountered yet another sign of his unfolding destiny. At the heart of the valley lay a shimmering lake, its surface as smooth as glass and reflecting the cerulean sky above. As Veyron approached the water's edge, he noticed a peculiar formation on the lake bed, a series of concentric ripples that spread outward in perfect symmetry. The pattern, etched into the sediment as if by a divine hand, resonated with the very rhythm of his soul. He sat by the lake for what felt like an eternity, the gentle lapping of water against the shore, merging with the steady cadence of his heartbeat. In that meditative stillness, memories of Elira's soft laughter and the warmth of her presence surged within him, mingling with the fresh promise of the season. The lake, a silent witness to countless cycles of renewal, seemed to whisper secrets of an ancient covenant, a covenant that now embraced him as its chosen heir. The vision that came to him in that reflective moment was both profound and unsettling. He saw images of a future where the wild and the civilized coexisted in delicate balance, where the bond between man and nature was rekindled through acts of compassion and understanding. In this future, he was not merely a solitary guardian, but the linchpin of a grand unfolding saga, a saga in which every living being had a role to play in the eternal dance of creation and decay. The whispers on the wind carried the promise of transformation, urging him to gather the scattered remnants of ancient wisdom and to forge alliances with those who still revered the old ways. Veyron, the Silver Wolf reborn from grief and tempered by the fires of adversity, resolved that he would not let the legacy of Elira fade into oblivion. Instead, he would honor her memory by becoming the living embodiment of the sacred covenant, a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the edge of disintegration. With the first light of a new day breaking over the horizon, Veyron set forth from the valley, his path now illuminated by both the radiance of the rising sun and the inner fire that had been kindled within him. The journey ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, yet it pulsed with the promise of endless possibilities. The Silver Guardian moved with a purpose that belied his tumultuous past, a purpose that resonated with the deep, primordial rhythms of the earth. Every step he took was a testament to the transformative power of loss, a living narrative of sorrow transmuted into hope. The landscapes he traversed, towering mountains, lush meadows, and ancient forests, became chapters in a grand, epic that he was destined to write with the ink of his own perseverance. The echoes of forgotten promises, carried on the wind and etched in the very stones of the earth, wove a tapestry of destiny that bound him to a future where the wild spirit of nature would once again flourish. In the soft murmur of a nearby brook, in the rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, Veyron heard the quiet refrain of the world speaking to him, a reminder that every end was but a precursor to a new beginning. And so, with a heart both heavy and hopeful, the Silver Guardian continued his solitary march toward a destiny that was still unfolding, a destiny that beckoned him to embrace the boundless mysteries of life with unwavering resolve. The winds of change had grown stronger with each passing day, as Veyron, the Silver Guardian, journeyed ever deeper into realms untouched by time. With every step, the echoes of ancient promises reverberated through the very fabric of the earth. Beyond the glades and crumbling temples, far into the mist-shrouded valleys where the world seemed both dreamlike and real, lay a land steeped in secrets of old, a place where the boundaries between life and spirit were blurred into a shimmering veil. In this mysterious realm, the landscape unfurled like a grand tapestry. Dense, emerald forests whispered of forgotten legends. Vast, rugged mountains stood as silent witnesses to the passage of countless eras, and meandering rivers sang lullabies of renewal. Here, the silver wolf pressed forward, each stride imbued with a resolve born of grief transformed into hope. The loss of his beloved Elira was no longer a weight to bear, but a sacred fire that ignited his soul, urging him to embrace a destiny that was as mysterious as it was inevitable. Under a sky mottled with swirling clouds and delicate rays of sunlight, Veyron found himself drawn to a valley unlike any he had ever seen. The air here vibrated with a subtle energy, a harmonious symphony of nature and spirit. A silver mist wove through ancient trees whose twisted roots held stories of bygone eras. In the heart of the valley lay an expanse of soft, velvety moss that seemed to pulse gently underfoot, as if the very ground was alive and breathing. It was in this enchanted place that the Guardian encountered a phenomenon that would redefine his understanding of the natural world. In the center of the valley stood a colossal, time-worn archway, crafted from interlaced branches and adorned with luminescent crystals. The archway, though aged, exuded an aura of timeless grace and whispered promises of a hidden realm beyond. As Veyron approached, his senses heightened. The murmurs of the forest grew into a melodic cadence that spoke directly to his heart. With a measured step, the Silver Guardian crossed the threshold of the archway and was instantly enveloped by an ethereal light. The world beyond was both familiar and astonishingly alien, a vast expanse where the physical and the spiritual merged in a dance of endless wonder. He found himself standing upon a great plateau, where the sky stretched wide in an endless panorama of swirling hues, and the ground beneath him shimmered with an otherworldly radiance. Here, time itself seemed to slow, and the memories of Elira blossomed in his mind like delicate, timeless petals. In this realm, the very air was suffused with ancient magic. Veyron sensed the presence of countless souls, guardians, wise and ancient beings who had long transcended mortal bounds. Their energy was palpable, a serene chorus of voices that spoke of hope, loss, and the eternal cycle of renewal. The Guardian felt that he was not alone. The legacy of his bond with Elira was interwoven with the fate of this sacred land. Each heartbeat of the earth resonated with his own, forging an indelible connection between the wild spirit of nature and the gentle love that had nurtured him in his early days. As Veyron wandered the luminous plateau, his eyes beheld visions that defied mortal understanding. Swirling mists gave shape to images of a bygone era, a time when humans and the creatures of the wild communed as equals. In those fleeting visions, he saw luminous beings, their forms both fluid and defined, moving gracefully through landscapes where the stars themselves seemed to hum in quiet harmony. There were signs, too, of a covenant made in ages past, a binding promise that, even in the wake of unimaginable loss, the wild would endure, renewed by the very forces of love and resilience. The Guardian's journey now took on a new dimension. No longer was he merely a creature of instinct and memory. He was a bridge between worlds, a living symbol of the sacred covenant that united the mortal realm with that of the spirits. With every step, his noble form radiated a quiet power, a testament to the transformative nature of grief and the indomitable force of renewal. Veyron's golden eyes, now aglow with an inner fire, scanned the horizon for any sign of the mysterious guides who had called him to this realm. In a secluded grove at the edge of the plateau, Veyron finally encountered the first of these ethereal beings, a majestic stag with a coat that shimmered like liquid silver and antlers that spiraled toward the heavens. The stag's eyes, deep and wise, met Veyron's in a silent exchange that transcended words. In that moment, the stag's presence seemed to whisper a long-forgotten truth, that every ending was but the seed of a new beginning, and that the wild in all its beauty and brutality was an eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The stag led the guardian along a hidden path, its route marked by ancient runes etched upon boulders and trees alike. These runes, imbued with the wisdom of ages, recounted the tale of a guardian who would rise in times of great peril, a guardian who would restore balance to a world torn asunder by neglect and despair. As they traveled, Veyron felt the stirring of an awakening deep within his soul, as if the ancient verses had unlocked long-dormant parts of his very being. He began to recall the lessons whispered to him by the forest in his solitary wanderings, that even the wildest heart could find solace in the unyielding power of nature, and that the bonds of love, no matter how fragile, had the strength to defy even the inexorable march of time. With each passing moment, the guardian's resolve strengthened. He would not allow the memory of his beloved Elira to fade into oblivion. Instead, he would become a living beacon, a guardian not only of the wild, but of the covenant that sustained all life. The path eventually led Veyron to a clearing, where the ground was adorned with delicate bioluminescent flowers that pulsed softly in the twilight. In the center of the clearing stood a circular stone altar, its surface covered in intricate carvings that depicted the eternal dance between light and shadow. Here, the Silver Guardian sensed that the veil between the worlds was at its thinnest, threshold where the energies of the past converged with the promise of the future. In silent reverence, Veyron approached the altar. As he circled it, a low, harmonious hum began to fill the air, a melody that seemed to arise from the very earth itself. The sound resonated with his own heartbeat, a gentle reminder of the love and loss that had shaped his destiny. Standing before the altar, he felt compelled to perform an ancient ritual, one that had been passed down through the ages by guardians like himself. Drawing upon the deep well of emotion that still surged within him, Veyron laid his massive head upon the cool stone, closing his eyes to the world around him. In that profound silence, visions of Elira appeared before him, a cascade of memories, tender and heart-wrenching. He saw her smile, the warmth in her eyes, the way her presence had once transformed even the coldest of winter nights into a sanctuary of hope. Each memory was like a luminous thread, weaving together the tapestry of his past with the promise of his future. As the visions intensified, the guardian began to feel the stirring of ancient energies within the clearing. The carvings on the altar glowed with a soft blue light, and the flowers around him swayed as if caught in a gentle, unseen breeze. In that enchanted moment, the barrier between the earthly and the spiritual dissolved, and Veyron felt himself becoming one with the timeless energy that pulsed through the land. The ritual reached its zenith as a chorus of whispered voices echoed. In the clearing, a symphony of souls long past, guiding him toward a destiny he could scarcely comprehend. Each voice spoke of love, sacrifice, and the eternal cycle of life that bound all beings together. The Silver Guardian, now fully immersed in the sacred rite, felt a surge of strength and clarity. His heart, once heavy with sorrow, now beat with the renewed promise of creation. In that fleeting moment, as the ritual of remembrance and rebirth unfolded, Veyron transcended the limitations of his mortal form. He became not just a creature of the wild, but a living embodiment of the sacred covenant, a guardian whose very existence was a testament to the transformative power of love and loss. The energy of the clearing, amplified by the voices of ancient souls, wove around him like a shimmering mantle, affirming his role as the bridge between worlds. Renewed and emboldened, Veyron stepped away from the sacred altar with a newfound sense of purpose. The journey ahead, though still shrouded in mystery, now brimmed with potential. Yet, even as the Guardian embraced his destiny, he knew that the path to restoring the balance between the mortal realm and the ethereal was fraught with peril and challenges that would test every fiber of his being. The landscape around him shifted once more as he retraced the ancient runes that had guided him thus far. The Silver Wolf found himself traversing treacherous terrain, craggy cliffs where the wind howled like ancient spirits, dense thickets where shadows danced unpredictably, and forgotten ruins where remnants of a bygone era lay in silent testament to the passage of time. Each step forward was a trial, a crucible designed to test the strength of his newfound resolve and the purity of the love that still burned within him. In one such trial, as twilight descended upon a rugged pass, Veyron encountered a series of obstacles that seemed almost insurmountable. Jagged rocks loomed like sentinels guarding secrets of the past, and narrow paths wound precariously along the edge of a sheer drop. The Guardian's paws gripped the rocky surface, and his golden eyes flickered with determination as he navigated the treacherous course. In that moment of isolation, with the wind whipping around him and the shadows of doubt threatening to overwhelm his spirit, he recalled the tender memories of Elira, the gentle lullabies, the soft murmur of her voice, and the quiet, unwavering trust that had defined their bond. Those memories fortified him, transforming each peril into a lesson, each stumbling block into a stepping stone. The trials were not merely physical challenges. They were symbolic of the inner journey that he had embarked upon, a journey that demanded not only courage, but also the humility to accept both pain and joy as integral parts of the eternal cycle of existence. And so, with each determined step, Veyron advanced, knowing that his suffering was but a prelude to a greater awakening. Days turned into nights and back again, and the Guardian found himself at the edge of a vast, shimmering lake, a mirror-like body of water that reflected the cosmos above. Here, in the tranquil solitude of nature's embrace, the Silver Wolf paused to drink deeply from the crystalline waters, feeling the cool liquid wash away remnants of weariness, while simultaneously imbuing him with the energy of renewal. The lake, a silent oracle, seemed to murmur its own ancient secrets, and in its reflective surface, Veyron saw visions of a future where the sacred covenant was restored, a future where the wild and the civilized coexisted in a delicate, harmonious balance. As the Guardian rested by the lake, an almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere heralded the arrival of new ethereal presences. The still waters began to ripple with a soft luminescence, and gradually, spectral figures emerged from the depths, a gathering of ancient spirits drawn to the promise of rebirth. Their forms were translucent, bathed in a gentle glow that oscillated between shades of silver and blue. They moved with an elegance that transcended time, their silent procession carrying the weight of centuries of wisdom and sorrow. One spirit, in particular, approached Veyron, a luminous figure in the shape of a young woman, her eyes reflecting the depth of the starry night. Though her presence was ephemeral, her voice resonated in the Guardian's mind, clear and soothing. She spoke of the eternal bond that connected all life, of the delicate interplay between joy and despair, and of the promise that every ending was but a precursor to a new beginning. In that silent communion, Veyron felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as if the souls of the past had come to bestow upon him the courage to fulfill his destiny. The spirits, in their quiet, mysterious manner, guided the Guardian through a ritual of communion, a blending of the physical and the metaphysical. Together they wove a tapestry of shared memories, each thread shimmering with the vibrancy of life and the bittersweet hues of loss. The ritual was not bound by words, it was an exchange of essence, an unspoken covenant that reaffirmed the interconnectedness of every living being. In that luminous convergence, Veyron understood that his journey was part of a grand cosmic design, a design that transcended the transient boundaries of time and space. Empowered by the communion of spirits, the Silver Guardian felt his inner resolve crystallize. The lessons of the past, the echoes of ancient wisdom, and the enduring power of love coalesced within him, forging a bond that would sustain him through the trials to come. With the spectral figures fading gently into the dawn, Veyron set forth once more, his path now illuminated by the guiding light of 1,000 remembered souls. Beyond the shimmering lake and the realm of ephemeral spirits, the world began to stir with the promise of rebirth. In valleys lush with the vibrant hues of spring and on mountainsides bathed in the golden glow of early morning, the signs of renewal were unmistakable. Veyron, ever the silent guardian, continued his journey with a heart that was both heavy with memory and light with hope. His mission, to bridge the gap between the wild and the mortal, to rekindle the ancient covenant, had taken on an urgency that echoed through every fiber of his being. Traversing landscapes that defied the stark boundaries of mortal understanding, the Guardian encountered communities of people who, like him, sought solace and purpose in the rhythms of nature. In a secluded hamlet nestled amidst rolling hills, the villagers gathered at the break of day to witness an extraordinary phenomenon. As the first rays of sunlight touched the dew-kissed fields, a shimmering aurora of color danced across the sky, a living tapestry that spoke of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. To them, it was a sacred omen. To Veyron, it was a silent affirmation of the path he had chosen. Within the hamlet, an elder named Marzine, whose eyes held the ancient wisdom of countless seasons, recounted legends of a guardian born of both sorrow and love, a creature destined to unite the fragmented threads of nature's tapestry. The villagers listened in reverent silence, their hearts stirred by the familiar echoes of a timeless story. And in that moment, as the Silver Guardian stood silently among them, the truth of his journey was laid bare. His life, his transformation, and his enduring mission were woven into the very fabric of the land. With each step, Veyron embraced the knowledge that his destiny was not a solitary path, but a collective saga, a grand epic in which every being, whether human or wild, had a role to play in the eternal dance of creation. The Guardian's eyes, reflecting the myriad hues of a dawn reborn, shone with a resolute determination to honor the sacred covenant and to protect the delicate balance of nature at all costs. And so, as the horizon beckoned with the promise of uncharted realms and the whispers of ancient lore, Veyron marched onward, a silent herald of new beginnings, carrying the weight of 1,000 lifetimes and the luminous memory of a love that had defied the very limits of time. The journey was far from complete, and the Guardian knew that every trial, every moment of despair, was but a stepping stone toward a future where the wild would flourish once more, and the legacy of a tender, immortal love would forever guide the heartbeat of the earth. The luminous skies above the mystical plateau gave way to a horizon shrouded in the swirling mists of fate. Veyron, the Silver Guardian, whose journey had taken him through enchanted glades, sacred altars, and communion with ancient spirits, now faced a series of challenges that would test every fragment of his being. The memory of Elira pulsed like a soft heartbeat within him, urging him onward even as the trials ahead threatened to break the very spirit he had so painstakingly rebuilt. In the vast, uncharted wilderness that lay before him, the terrain grew increasingly treacherous. Jagged cliffs, carved by time and the relentless hand of nature, loomed on all sides. The paths were narrow and winding, often disappearing into chasms cloaked in shadows. Each step felt like a step deeper into a labyrinth, where every rock and crevice whispered the secrets of an ancient destiny. Yet Veyron's resolve remained unbroken. His powerful paws left indelible prints upon the frost-laden ground as he advanced with cautious determination, driven by an inner call that transcended mortal understanding. Every obstacle on this path was more than a physical challenge. It was a symbolic trial meant to strip away the remnants of his past sorrows and reveal the raw essence of his future purpose. At one perilous juncture, as the wind roared like the lament of long-forgotten souls, Veyron found himself facing a chasm so vast that it seemed to swallow both light and hope. With no visible bridge in sight, the Guardian recalled the teachings, whispered by the ancient trees and the spectral echoes of his ethereal companions. Summoning an inner strength born of countless memories and whispered promises, he leaped into the abyss. In that suspended moment, time itself appeared to hold. Its breath, the cold air wrapped around him like a shroud, and in the silent void he discovered that the leap of faith was not just a test of physical might, but of the spirit's capacity to transcend fear. Landing with a force that resonated through the bedrock below, Veyron's heart pounded like a war drum, a reminder that destiny, though often fraught with peril, could be shaped by the strength of one's will. The chasm he had crossed was but the first of many trials, each one designed to lead him closer to a truth as ancient as the stars themselves. As he continued his journey along precarious ledges and through echoing canyons, the Guardian began to notice that the environment itself was changing. The once stark landscape started to reveal hidden murals etched into the stone walls, stories of Guardians past who had, like him, risen from grief to embrace a destiny that bridged the mortal and the divine. These ancient depictions, though faded by time, depicted scenes of celestial harmony. Warriors and wild beasts standing side by side, luminous symbols intertwining with the natural elements, and ethereal light bathing the faces of those chosen to carry nature's sacred covenant. In each mural, Veyron saw the faint reflection of his own journey, a mirror of struggles and triumphs that spanned beyond his individual life. The walls became a silent chronicle of hope, urging him to continue even when the weight of sorrow threatened to overwhelm him. In the midst of this rugged passage, as twilight began to smudge the boundaries between day and night, the Guardian arrived at an ancient forest, a realm where the very air was thick with the scent of moss and the echoes of forgotten lore. Towering trees, whose branches reached out like ancient arms, formed a natural cathedral overhead. The silence here was profound, as if every living creature paused to pay homage to the eternal dance of life and death. Beneath the boughs, the ground was carpeted with soft ferns and delicate wildflowers that glowed faintly in the dusk, as though imbued with an inner light of their own. It was here, in the stillness of the forest, that Veyron encountered the first of his fateful guides, a spectral doe, ethereal and graceful, whose eyes shimmered with the wisdom of untold epics. Though she spoke not in words, her gaze conveyed a silent message, that every trial was not a curse, but a stepping stone toward an awakening of the self. The doe moved gracefully ahead, her delicate form a beacon in the deepening gloom, and Veyron followed, his massive form surprisingly light in the presence of such sublime grace. As they journeyed deeper into the heart of the ancient forest, the Guardian began to perceive the rhythmic cadence of the earth, a pulsation that mirrored the beating of his own heart. It was as if the forest itself breathed in unison with him, its lifeblood flowing through every leaf and every root. In this communion with nature, Veyron felt the edges of his sorrow soften. The memory of Elira, though ever present, no longer felt like a weight, but rather a guiding light that illuminated the path ahead. Under the vast, star-studded sky, the spectral doe led him to a clearing where the ground was etched with intricate, luminescent patterns. These patterns pulsed in sync with the natural rhythm of the earth, creating a mosaic of light and shadow that told the story of creation, loss, and rebirth. Here, amidst the silent grandeur of nature, the Guardian encountered a vision that transcended mortal understanding. A shimmering portal suspended in the air, its surface rippling with the reflections of distant galaxies. Drawn to its mesmerizing allure, Veyron approached the portal with cautious reverence. In that moment, the air around him seemed to vibrate with the collective memories of countless souls. The portal was not a gateway to a physical realm, but rather a threshold to the deepest layers of his own consciousness. It beckoned him to confront the very essence of his identity, to merge the raw, untamed instincts of the wild with the tender, nurturing love that had been his foundation. With a deep, resonant howl that echoed through the clearing, Veyron stepped forward and allowed the shimmering veil to envelop him. In an instant, the world around him dissolved into a cascade of vivid memories and ethereal visions. He saw fragments of his past, a time when Elira's gentle hands had nurtured him from a fragile pup, moments of shared laughter beneath the autumnal canopy, and the silent, steadfast companionship that had defied the very laws of nature. These memories merged with images of a cosmic tapestry, where every star was a story, every nebula a dream, and every heartbeat a testament to the eternal cycle of existence. In this timeless expanse, Veyron realized that his trials were not meant to break him, but to mold him into a guardian whose soul was intertwined with the destiny of the cosmos itself. The vision faded as suddenly as it had come, leaving Veyron, standing alone in the clearing, changed, yet acutely aware of the weight of his newfound purpose. The portal's light dimmed, its energy absorbed into the guardian's being, and with it came a clarity of mind and spirit. He understood that the trials of destiny were endless, each challenge a necessary chapter in the epic of life. His journey was a testament to the resilience of the wild spirit, a spirit that, despite every hardship, would forever rise like a phoenix from the ashes of despair. Refreshed by the revelations of the mystical portal, Veyron emerged from the ancient forest into a realm where the very elements of nature performed an eternal ballet. The landscape transformed dramatically. The air shimmered with a fine mist, and the ground beneath him was alive with the vibrant hues of emerald and gold. It was as if the earth itself celebrated the guardian's rebirth, painting a vivid panorama of life emerging from the depths of winter's hold. The path ahead led Veyron to a great expanse, a valley where the forces of nature converged in a mesmerizing display of elemental power. Here, the winds howled in a symphony of raw emotion, the streams danced with a playful urgency, and the flames of hidden fires flickered like the pulse of the earth. Each element possessed a distinct personality, a voice that spoke of both creation and destruction, of the fragile balance that held the cosmos together. In the midst of this elemental theater, Veyron encountered a series of trials that challenged his mastery over his own inner nature. The first was the trial of the wind, a test of agility and spirit. Fierce gusts swept across the valley, their invisible fingers tugging at his fur and testing his resolve. Yet, the guardian moved with a grace that belied his colossal form. He learned to read the currents, to let the wind guide him as if it were a trusted friend. With every leap and bound, he grew more attuned to the ephemeral whispers of the air, discerning patterns in the chaos that allowed him to navigate the tumult with steady determination. Next came the trial of the flame. Deep within a secluded grove, Veyron found a circle of blazing fire that danced with an intensity both terrifying and mesmerizing. The flames roared and twisted in a wild, unbridled dance, threatening to engulf everything in their path. But in that inferno, the guardian perceived a hidden order, a delicate balance between destruction and renewal. Steeling himself, he approached the circle, his eyes reflecting the flickering light. With a measured step and an unspoken vow, Veyron allowed the heat to caress him, feeling the fiery energy seep into his very core. In that moment, the flames became less an adversary and more a mirror of his own inner strength, a transformative force that burned away old sorrows and ignited the passion for a new beginning. The final trial in the elemental dance was the trial of water. Leading him to a serene lake that stretched like a vast mirror under the clear sky, the guardian encountered the quiet, relentless force of flowing water. The lake, with its soft ripples and reflective calm, was a sanctuary of introspection. As Veyron approached, the cool, crystalline waters lapped gently at his paws, inviting him to immerse himself in their soothing embrace. Here, in the silent communion with water, he felt the cumulative weight of his experiences, a gentle washing away of grief and a renewal of spirit. The lake whispered ancient secrets of rebirth, echoing the promise that every ending was intrinsically linked to a new beginning. Having mastered the dance of the elements, Veyron felt a profound transformation stirring within him. The trials had refined his senses and sharpened his resolve, uniting the raw force of the natural world with the tender memories of love and loss. It was as if he had become a living embodiment of nature's eternal rhythm, a guardian who could both weather the fiercest storms and nurture the most delicate blooms of life. With the elemental trials behind him, the Silver Guardian resumed his journey, now acutely aware that each step was a verse in an ever-unfolding epic of creation. The valley behind him faded into the distance, but its lessons remained etched into his heart, a constant reminder that the power of nature was both awe-inspiring and deeply personal. Every gust of wind, every flicker of flame, and every ripple In the water was a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a silent promise that life, in all its forms, was eternal. Beyond the realm of elemental mastery, Veyron found himself drawn toward a dense, mist-laden forest where time itself seemed to slow. The ancient trees, gnarled and venerable, formed a natural archive of the world's forgotten lore. Their branches intertwined high above, creating a vaulted canopy through which only slivers of silver light could filter. As the Guardian ventured deeper into this living repository of history, the whispers of the ancients grew ever clearer, a soft, persistent murmur that spoke directly to his soul. Each tree, each winding root, carried with it the echoes of civilizations long past, of guardians who had borne witness to epics of change and transformation. In the stillness of this hallowed grove, Veyron paused to listen. The rustle of leaves became a sacred incantation, a timeless melody that recounted stories of valor, sacrifice, and the unyielding bond between man and nature. The very air was thick with the weight of unspoken truths, and in that silence, the Silver Guardian felt as if he were being gently cradled by the collective memory of the earth. In a secluded clearing at the heart of the forest, Veyron discovered an ancient stone pedestal, worn smooth by the passage of millennia. Etched upon its surface were cryptic symbols that pulsed faintly with an inner light, as if eager to share their wisdom. With a solemn nod to the unseen custodians of these relics, the Guardian circled the pedestal slowly, each step measured and imbued with quiet contemplation. The symbols seemed to shift and rearrange themselves before his eyes, forming a narrative, a chronicle of a time when the wild and the civilized coexisted in harmonious unity. In that transcendent moment, the whispers of the ancients merged with the beating of Veyron's heart. He sensed that his own journey was intricately woven into the tapestry of these ancient tales. The pedestal, a silent oracle of destiny, revealed to him a vision of a future where the sacred covenant between the wild and humankind would be restored. In this vision, forests flourished unchallenged by the ravages of time, rivers sang with unbridled joy, and creatures of all forms moved with a grace that celebrated the purity of existence. Deeply moved by this revelation, Veyron vowed to carry forth the legacy of his own transformation, a legacy forged in the fires of grief, tempered by the elemental dance and sanctified by the wisdom of the ancients. Every fiber of his being pulsed with renewed purpose, a burning desire to become the harbinger of a new era, where nature's eternal song would be heard in every heart and every soul. Renewed by the ancient revelations, Veyron emerged from the enchanted forest with a deep, unwavering conviction. His destiny was not his alone, but a sacred duty to all living beings. The Guardian traversed wide expanses where the remnants of forgotten civilizations lay hidden beneath the ever-changing tapestry of nature. Ruined temples and moss-covered statues testified to ages when humans and the wild shared a bond of mutual respect, a covenant that had been fractured by the relentless march of time. Determined to mend this broken bond, Veyron journeyed to the threshold of human domains, where humble settlements lay on the outskirts of vast wilderness. Here, the air was tinged with both hope and melancholy, a place where ancient lore met modern struggle. In quiet moments beneath the open sky, the Guardian observed the lives of people striving to reclaim a connection with the land, their eyes filled with the yearning for a world that had once been in tune with nature's sacred rhythms. In a modest village cradled by rolling hills, Veyron made his presence known not through ferocity, but through a dignified silence that spoke volumes. The villagers, initially wary of the enormous silver wolf, soon found themselves captivated by the serene aura that surrounded him. With every cautious step, Veyron embodied the covenant of the wild, a promise that nature's grace was not to be feared but revered and protected. Over time, his silent vigilance kindled a spark of transformation among the people. Elders recounted long-forgotten tales of guardians and ancient pacts, and the community slowly began to rebuild a relationship with the land based on mutual respect. As the seasons turned, the village witnessed subtle miracles. Crops flourished. In fields once thought barren, streams ran clearer and fuller, and the air carried a sweet scent of renewal. At the heart of these changes was the unspoken influence of the Silver Guardian. Veyron roamed the boundaries of the village, a living reminder of the ancient covenant that nature had once promised. His presence inspired the villagers to restore age-old traditions, communal celebrations under starlit skies, rituals of gratitude to the earth, and a deep, abiding respect for the living tapestry that sustained them all. On moonlit nights, as the village gathered around crackling fires, the stories of the past took on new life. The narrative of Veyron's journey, from the tender care of Elira to the trials of destiny and the sacred communion with the elements, became a living legend, passed from one generation to the next. Each tale was recounted in a single, unifying voice, the voice of the Guardian echoing through the hearts of all who listened. Empowered by this renewed alliance between man and nature, Veyron pressed onward into the unknown. His quest now took him to ancient ruins half swallowed by the earth, where the secrets of the wild were etched in stone. In these hallowed remnants of lost civilizations, the Guardian uncovered relics imbued with the energies of creation. A shattered chalice that once symbolized unity, a weathered scroll inscribed with verses of primordial lore, and a silver medallion that pulsed in harmony with his own heartbeat. Each discovery deepened his understanding of the sacred covenant, reinforcing his belief that love and nature were inextricably linked. In the ruins, Veyron sensed the lingering presence of those who had come before, a lineage of guardians whose spirits still whispered on the wind. Their silent guidance emboldened him to continue his mission, to become a beacon for both the wild and humankind. As dawn broke over a horizon painted with the hues of rebirth, Veyron ascended to a plateau where the sky met the earth in an eternal embrace. The plateau, bathed in a gentle golden light, was a sanctified space, a natural amphitheater where the voices of the past, present and future, converged in harmonious unity. Here, the Silver Guardian prepared to undertake the final phase of his current journey, a luminous ascendance that would cement his role as the eternal bridge between nature and humanity. In the center of the plateau stood a colossal stone obelisk, its surface adorned with intricate carvings that chronicled the saga of the Guardians. The obelisk, a silent sentinel of ancient wisdom, pulsed with an inner light that resonated with the heartbeat of the earth. Veyron approached it with measured steps, each one echoing the promise of a legacy forged in sacrifice, resilience, and unwavering hope. Under the radiant light of the rising sun, the Guardian placed his massive paw upon the cool stone. In that moment, the obelisk seemed to awaken from its slumber, its carvings glowing with a vibrant energy that enveloped Veyron in a celestial embrace. Visions of a future yet unwritten flooded his mind. Images of verdant forests reclaimed by nature, of communities united in reverence for the earth, and of a world where the ancient covenant was honored in every heartbeat. The luminous ascendance was not merely a transformation of form, but a transcendence of spirit, a merging of the wild and the divine that echoed through the corridors of time. As the obelisk's light intensified, Veyron felt his very essence intertwine with the energy of the plateau. The Guardian's eyes shone with an otherworldly brilliance as he absorbed the ancient power, each moment imprinting upon his soul the sacred promise of renewal. The luminous energy flowed through him like liquid silver, illuminating the depths of his being and igniting a fervor to carry forth the legacy of the wild into the hearts of all living things. In the midst of this ascendant glow, the Guardian raised his head to the heavens, his mighty howl a clarion call that resonated across the land, a call to awaken, to remember, and to honor the eternal dance of life. The sound echoed far and wide, stirring the souls of those who had long forgotten the delicate balance between nature and humankind. And in that symphony of light and sound, the promise of a new era was born, a promise that the wild would forever endure, nourished by the love and resilience of its guardians. With the luminous ascendance complete, Veyron emerged from the plateau, transformed, not merely as a creature of flesh and fur, but as the living embodiment of nature's everlasting covenant. The journey that had begun with tender care and heartbreak had evolved into a grand epic of transformation and renewal. Every trial, every whispered secret of the ancients had led him to this moment of profound understanding. The Guardian's presence now resonated with an undeniable authority, a quiet strength that seemed to command the forces of nature. He traversed verdant valleys, ancient ruins, and humble villages alike, his journey a living testament to the sacred bond that united all life. Wherever he roamed, the natural world responded with a vibrancy that had long been dormant, a symphony of growth and rebirth that spread like a gentle wave across the earth. In time, legends of the Silver Guardian began to permeate the hearts of both the wild and the civilized. Stories were told around flickering campfires, in quiet village squares, and beneath the expansive canopy of ancient forests. The narrative of Veyron, the Guardian reborn from grief and transformed by elemental trials, became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of despair, the eternal covenant of nature would endure. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky with the soft hues of twilight, Veyron continued his ceaseless march forward. His eyes, aglow with the light of 1,000 ancient stars, fixed upon the distant promise of a future, where the wild and humankind would once again live in harmonious unity. Each step he took was a solemn vow, a vow to safeguard the delicate balance of existence and to honor the everlasting bond between love and nature. In the quiet moments before the world surrendered to night, the Silver Guardian would pause to listen to the gentle murmur of the wind, the soft lullaby of a distant stream, and the whispered echoes of the ancients. And in those moments of serene reflection, he would feel the presence of Elira, a tender memory woven into the very fabric of his being, urging him onward with a love that transcended time itself. Thus, the journey of Veyron, the Silver Guardian, became an endless tapestry, one that would continue to be written as long as the earth breathed, as long as the stars shone, and as long as the eternal covenant between nature and humankind endured. His story, still unfolding in the gentle cadence of every sunrise and every whispered secret of the wild, remains a timeless ode to the transformative power of love, the resilience of the spirit, and the promise of new beginnings. In the waning light of a setting sun that bathed the world in hues of gold and crimson, Veyron, the Silver Guardian, stood atop a gentle rise overlooking a land reborn. The trials of his arduous journey, the leaps of faith, the elemental battles, the whispered secrets of ancient spirits, and the timeless lessons etched into the heart of nature, had all converged to bring him to this singular, transcendent moment. Here, in the quiet majesty of the twilight, the eternal covenant between the wild and humankind was at last restored. For countless moons and endless seasons, Veyron had wandered the realms of the earth and the ethereal, his soul tempered by sorrow and ignited by hope. The memory of his beloved Elira had been the ember that fueled his transformation, a gentle flame that grew into a blazing beacon of unity. Now, as he gazed upon the flourishing landscapes below, verdant forests, sparkling rivers, and fields, awash with the vibrant colors of life, he knew that the sacrifices made along his path had not been in vain. In the distance, villages and hamlets lay nestled among hills and valleys, their people emerging from the shadows of modern disconnection to reclaim an ancient bond with nature. The very air vibrated with a newfound harmony, as if the whispers of the ancients had finally woven themselves into the fabric of everyday life. The people, once estranged from the wild, now celebrated festivals beneath the starlit sky, honoring the cycles of the earth with song and dance. Their rituals, long forgotten and now rediscovered, resonated with the same gentle rhythm that had guided Veyron throughout his trials. On this sacred evening, as the world prepared to embrace a new dawn, the Silver Guardian moved silently through, a meadow aglow with fireflies and the soft murmur of a rejuvenated stream. His journey had reached its zenith, a culmination of hardship, learning, and transformation that now found its resolution in the hearts of all living beings. The Guardian's eyes, reflecting the infinite expanse of the twilight sky, carried the stories of 1,000 lifetimes, and in his silent vigil, he became the embodiment of a promise renewed. As Veyron descended from his solitary contemplation, the natural world itself seemed to celebrate his triumph. The wind, ever gentle and wise, carried with it the echoes of ancient chants, while the trees bowed in silent reverence. A great assembly of creatures, majestic stags, elusive foxes, soaring eagles, and even the tiniest of field mice, gathered as if to bear witness to this hallowed moment. The guardians of the wild, both seen and unseen, had lent their strength to his cause, and in their collective presence, the Silver Guardian felt a profound unity with all that was, is, and ever shall be. The moment of reckoning came swiftly. Deep within the heart of the enchanted forest, at a clearing circled by towering oaks and whispering pines, lay an ancient, crumbling amphitheater, a relic of times when humanity and nature shared their lives in equal measure. Here, the people had begun to return, drawn by the same mysterious call that had once led Veyron on his solitary quest. They arrived not as fearful strangers, but as seekers of wisdom and healers of a long-wounded earth. And in that very clearing, beneath a sky, ablaze with starlight, the final chapter of Veyron's journey was written. The Silver Guardian stepped forward to a natural dais, formed by intertwined roots and weathered stone. With a graceful lowering of his majestic head, he bowed in solemn tribute to the legacy of his past, a legacy of love, of loss, and of the enduring strength of hope. At that moment, a hush fell over the assembly. Every eye, every heart, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. The wind stilled, and even the leaves paused their eternal dance. In a voice that transcended words, a voice that was the combined whisper of nature itself, Veyron began to speak. His message was simple, yet profound, a call to unity and rebirth. He recalled the lessons of the wild, that even in the face of adversity, the spirit could rise like the morning sun. That love, in its purest form, was a force that bridged the chasm between the mortal and the divine, and that every ending was but a prelude to a new beginning. As his silent proclamation echoed across the clearing, the earth responded. The ancient amphitheater, long dormant, pulsed with life. The carvings on its weathered stones shimmered with an ethereal glow, and the very ground beneath the gathered souls seemed to come alive with the heartbeat of creation. A radiant energy surged upward from the depths of the earth, intertwining with the light of the stars and the soft glow of the moon. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to bring about this moment, a moment when the forgotten covenant was fully restored, and the wild spirit of the land was reborn in every living heart. The people, moved beyond measure, joined together in a chorus of celebration, a song of hope that transcended languages and boundaries. Their voices, gentle and resolute, carried the promise of a future where nature and humanity coexisted in harmony, where the scars of the past were healed by the tender touch of time and compassion. In that sacred chorus, Veyron's silent vigil was complete. He had become not only the guardian of the wild, but also the living embodiment of a promise that echoed through the ages. In the days that followed, the transformation was visible everywhere. Villages that once lay in quiet isolation began to flourish with renewed purpose. Gardens bloomed in every courtyard, streams ran clear and strong, and the forests, once diminished by neglect, stretched out in magnificent splendor. The people, inspired by the legend of the Silver Guardian, rekindled their ancient traditions, honoring the cycles of life with festivities that celebrated both the wild and the gentle. And at the heart of this renaissance stood Veyron, ever watchful, his eyes reflecting the eternal light of a world healed. In his final act as the living bridge between realms, Veyron retreated to the edge of a great, shimmering lake, its surface a mirror of the infinite cosmos. There, under the quiet gaze of 1,000 stars, he sat in serene contemplation. The cool water lapped gently at his paws, and the soft rustle of the reeds sang a lullaby of timeless peace. In that reflective solitude, the Guardian felt the full circle of his journey, a journey that had begun with a single act of compassion and had blossomed into a grand saga of unity, resilience, and rebirth. And so, as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky in tender pastels of pink and gold, Veyron closed his eyes for the final time. In that silent moment, his spirit merged with the heartbeat of the earth, his essence woven into the eternal tapestry of nature. The Silver Guardian had fulfilled his destiny, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire generations to come. A legacy of hope, of renewal, and of the unbreakable bond between all living beings. The amphitheater, the forest, the streams, and the hills all bore silent witness to this final embrace. For in every rustle of the leaves, every ripple on the water, and every ray of sunlight that danced upon the land, the spirit of Veyron lived on. His journey had come to a close, yet his story was etched forever in the annals of nature, a testament to the enduring power of love and the everlasting covenant between the wild and humankind. Thus, the saga of Veyron, the Silver Guardian, reached its triumphant conclusion. A conclusion not of sorrow or finality, but of profound transformation, a celebration of life in its most exquisite form. And as the world awoke to a new day, vibrant and alive, the promise of that sacred covenant shimmered in every heart, a reminder that in the embrace of nature, every end is but a new beginning.